Hey everyone, welcome to another episode from Pacific Arc Tig Welding. My name's Dusty. Today I'm going to give some tips on how to get dialed to do a welding art piece, or basically just get dialed to make sure your welds are running nice and clean. I'm a welding artist from Vancouver Island, Canada. I do 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional art pieces where I challenge myself to duplicate things I do in my sketchbook as well as ideas I have in my head. On my channel, I love showing off and teaching the art of TIG welding, so if you're new to the channel, be sure to bounce back, check out some of the previous episodes. There's a ton of episodes for you to watch. I got some questions from some people who watch some of my art videos. They wanted to know how I go about getting different techniques with colors, different shapes and stuff like that when I'm doing an art piece. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna go over some tips and one simple exercise that's gonna help you kind of get dialed to take on some weird shapes and get some nice clean welds while doing it. So if you watch my channel for a little bit, you probably know I already did this exercise. I did it about 2-3 months ago, maybe even longer, I can't remember, it's been a while. But I did it on aluminum. We did an aluminum exercise and I called it the claw. So the claw exercise was a lot of fun. It was something that just basically takes you through doing a weld that goes from one shape to another, where you're basically traveling from a hot end of a weld to a cool end of the weld. So I'll put the link to that episode in the description below. If you're interested in that, go check it out. Okay, here we go. So I am just sketching out a rough shape of the path I want to follow. As you can see, I have one wider end and I have one narrower end. Here I am cutting it with a die grinding bit so I'll be able to see it when I'm actually arcing on. I try to keep it relatively center in the plate, so I don't want it too close to the edge or else it'll heat up too fast. And I'm using lacquer thinner here. I should be wearing gloves. Wear gloves, people. Thoroughly cleaning it, and watch this. I really make sure I follow the lines with it because I want to get any kind of stuff that's been impermeated in the cut out. Okay, so here you can see I've got everything totally cleaned, pretty much ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off on this end here. I'm basically start with a 3-step pattern to cover the distance between the two lines here. I'll continue this and I'll probably switch to a 2-step pattern somewhere around here. Then I'll probably switch to a 1-step pattern to finish off, and then I'll finish it off autogenous with just pumping the foot pedal. But basically you can see the general layout there. That's all I have to follow, and we're just gonna freestyle it and see how it comes out. Okay, so for machine, what we're using today, we are using the CanaWeld 201 Pulse D. I use this machine for almost everything I do in the studio here. This machine is super dope. For settings though, we're gonna keep it pretty simple here. Direct current negative, we're on DC negative. For amperage, we are running about 75 amps. As you'll see with 75 amps, I'm gonna be going from high to low as I go throughout the weld pass here. So I'm going to set the panel for 75 amps. And I'm going to control everything with the foot pedal down below. We're also running no downslope because we're using a foot pedal. About 4.5 seconds of post flow. Quick squirt of pre-flow. No upslope, again, because we're using the foot pedal. And back to 75 amps. That's what we're doing, keeping it simple. Okay, let's take a quick look at the torch setup here. I'm running a CK Worldwide 9 style torch. This is a Shea Spec back cap. I love these things, they look super awesome. Take the cup off real quick. I have a 332 gas screen in here with a wedge style collet on the inside. It's a 332 LayZr tungsten from CK Worldwide. And then this thing here is the adapter that goes over top that's made by Tig Welding, the people that make these cups here. All you do is you put this over top of your existing hardware, you slide your cup over top, over the O-rings, you get a nice tight fit. My tungsten stick out is out about equal to the width of the orifice of the cup. That's just a little rule of thumb I like to follow. Other people do different things. That's just what I prefer. All right, here we go. So going right off the bat, you'll be able to see that I all of a sudden decide I can't do a 3-step pattern. It's too wide, I gotta do 4. So I had to literally freestyle it as I went. Right off the get-go, I realized I was wrong and I had to go with 4 steps across, but I figured it out. So basically, once I have the first row settled down, I can actually see what kind of pattern I need to follow. And it's just a matter of paying really close attention to how far apart your steps are and how much you advance with each line. As you can see, I sped it up there, so we're going a little bit quicker now. This entire weld took me about 2 minutes to finish, so obviously I didn't want to make everybody wait through it, so I sped it up a little bit. So we're still going with the 4-step pattern here. I'm paying attention to how much I'm filling up each step, and I'm going to switch to a 3-step pretty quick here. So there's the first 3-step there. So that's when I actually sized it down, because following the line it starts to get narrower and narrower. You can see I'm backing off the heat slightly with the amperage display in the top right hand corner. And I take a little break there, get set up for the last one, and here we go. Just letting the last little bit settle down. Kind of wetting it in before I move. and then I screw up right here. Pisses me off watching it now. It's all good though. We'll finish it off here and it'll look pretty cool, I think. Okay, let's have a little look here. Overall, I'm pretty stoked on this one. This one turned out pretty good as far as the coloring went. I got a good amount of gold in there, but I also like to have a little bit of color with my art pieces. So as you can see, we got a decent amount of oxide on it. So for anybody that does not know, the oxide is what forms the colors. As the gas coverage moves on faster than the piece can cool with it, it forms these oxide layers, which the oxide on the surface turns into nice color. So as you can see here, we got a good amount of gold color in there to start. I definitely tend to get colors as it gets hotter. As you can tell, up here is where I started each row. So each row when I started up here was at its coldest point. And then when I got to the fourth dab down at the bottom here, I decided again off the top that I would switch from 3 to 4 pretty quick when I realized I wasn't going to be able to cover the distance from side to side with 3 dabs and keep it under control. So I switched to 4, and as you can see on the 4th row, it tended to color up quite a bit because that was where it's at its hottest point. And then when I went back up to the top row, we tended to get back to the gold color. And then as we got a little further on, again, I was letting it heat up quite a bit, so I let the colors form a little bit, which I love. And then as we started to get a little cooler, I switched to a 3-step pattern right here. The 3-step pattern started to gold up a little bit as I started to cut my heat. As I cut my heat towards the end of the 2-step pattern, that's when it got really gold. Then I finished with the gold stuff here, and unfortunately it was a little bit of a goofy stop at the end there with the filler rod. I regret that one deeply. I might lose some sleep over it tonight, but whatever. It's a demo for YouTube to help people, so who cares? Overall though, you can see the colors look really nice on this one. As we pick it up and move it around the studio here, you can see it catches different lights. The different light makes the oxides look like different colors. That's pretty nice, I like that one. But again, another important thing that I'll point out here is take a look at our heat affected zone. Our heat affected zone, for the most part, was pretty even as we go all the way around. One warning sign you're going to want to watch for is your heat affected zone blowing out and getting wider and wider as you get towards different areas, especially if you're getting towards an area that's near the edge of a plate. You're going to start to see the heat affected zone creep out a little bit more as the heat starts to go towards the edge of the plate. So I was being aware of that as we got towards the top here, and I was really being mindful of my heat to make sure that I didn't get too hot as we get close to the edge here. And as you can see, the heat affected zone stayed nice and consistent. So that's kind of a telltale sign of how I did with my heat control. So if you enjoyed this episode, you can repay me. Go out and do a random act of kindness for a complete stranger. That's what I challenge everybody to do at the end of every episode on my channel. I'm just trying to spread positivity, and I'm trying to do it through the welding world. So do your part, go out, spread some positivity. The world needs it. I appreciate that. And make sure you go check out that other episode in the description below to where I do the same exercise with aluminum. That one was a lot of fun. But again, to everybody that watched today, I really appreciate you for watching. I hope you're safe. I hope you're happy, healthy out there. Again, for Pacific Arc Tig Welding, my name's Dusty. Have a good one. Peace.